Hey everybody, welcome to the Mana Leek. I'm John as always. An hour of Devastation came out today, which of course means that I was out drafting it at the Gamers Emporium at Wonderland and Oxford in London, Ontario. If you are ever in the area, come draft. We draft every Friday. We've got Sunday Standard, we've got Modern on, I want to say Tuesdays, but come check it out. It's behind the money bar. It's a little bit tricky to find, but you'll want to find it. Anyways, pack 1. There wasn't much there. I flipped through pretty quickly. It had 2 rares. It had Foil Impending Doom. We weren't taking that. And it had the other bad red card, Hazard's Undying Fury. So luckily there was a Struggle to Survive, which is a very strong first pick, and we snapped that down. Pack 2 showed up, and there's a Hoopoe on top. I like me a Hoopoe. I don't know if I want to pick it this early yet, but hey, there's an Open Fire, and that goes fantastic with a Struggle. And then just not really much there. There's a rare, but again, Hour of Devastation has a lot of really bad rares, such as Scavenger Grounds and the other giant pile of bad rares. But luckily this pack had the Open Fire, which again, easy snap second pick. Pack 1 pick 3 is here, and we've seen our 4th bad rare in 3 packs, so that's fun with Hour of Promise. But luckily there's a Consign there, and you know, it's not on summon, it's 2 mana, but I'll pay 2 mana for an on-summon that can hit a non-creature. Not much else in this pack. There was a Flurry of Blades, which I still don't think is great, but there are a lot of really good X ones in this format. There's a Moaning Wall, Defiant Kenra, all stuff that I'd be okay-ish picking up later in the pack, like the Hippo, but Consign seems like a good third pick. Someday I'll pick creatures, but not quite yet. Pack 1 pick 4 is here. We've got another Kenra, we've got a Firebrand Archer, Dauntless Aven, which I don't remember being in this pack, but I skipped right on over there. There was a Aven Guide as well, an Adjacent Defeat and an On-Summon. They all get pushed to the front because I'm thinking about blue after that Consign. Firebrand Archer could be okay if I end up sort of a blue-red spells deck. Ultimately, I think it's really between the On-Summon and the Aven Guide. This is not yet where I would pick Adjacent Defeat. That's several picks away before I take that. Again, flipping over the Dauntless Aven, which may have been the right pick here, but I just ignored it because there was a blue Aven and I had not taken a white card yet. Aven Guide really seems like the creature pick here. I knew that if I just got 2 stuck on spells, I'd forget about creatures, so we do take the Aven Guide. Next pack is here already. Another horrifyingly bad rare, but oh boy, we're going down the blue-red path, and there is a Bloodwater Entity, which is really easy pick here. There's not much else in this pack. There's Fixing with an Amulet and a Survivor's Encampment, but we're just going to take the On Colors gold card. Next pack is here. We've got nothing, Chandra's Defeat, Gideon's Defeat, Firebrand Archer. Firebrand Archer really seems like the only pick, and it goes in the blue-red spells deck. Chandra's Defeat could be okay. This is kind of the interesting point where you start to question, where do you take these sideboard cards when you know you're going to be in that color? Ultimately, I think they're still ever so slightly below where I would take a Firebrand Archer since I'm heading into the spells deck, but it was close, but we did take the Archer. Next pack, we've got ourselves Countervailing Winds is blue, and that's about all we've got. There's a Traveler's Amulet here. There's a Crypt of the Eternals? Is that what it's called? Yeah, not much here, so I just take that Countervailing Winds. In retrospect, taking the Traveler's Amulet may have been better. I don't think I would play the Countervailing Winds even in a blue-red spells deck. But yeah, that Traveler's Amulet would have been nice, eh? Next pack is here, and I'm pretty stuck into blue-red at this point. We've got a Spellweaver Elite, or a Spellweaver Eternal, Insect Swarm, which is terrible, an Inferno Jet, nothing really here outside of the Spellweaver, which is just a solid card. Afflict is just... oh, I'm going to despise that mechanic by the end of the format, let me tell you. Can't wait until you can block and not just take damage anyways. Next pack, we've got Gurgles of a Dying God here, along with Hazard's Undying Favor, which wield, and the Foil Impending Doom did not, because, spoilers, somebody misread what it did. Frontline Devastator is just a solid card. Again, Afflict is just freaking disgusting in this format, and Frontline Devastator is a great common with it, so that's an easy include. Heading towards the back half of pack 1, we've got this Scavenger Grounds pack again. The Hoopoe's still there, so there's that. But really I'm looking at the Unquenchable Thirst, or maybe the second Countervailing Winds, but I'll take the Thirst. I'm not a big fan of the Thirst, to be honest. I really want to make sure that I am definitely tapping down the creature, and there's a bunch of on-tap effects, but it's a fine enough pickup here. Time for the dregs of the pack. We've got nothing. We've got a Cunning Survivor, which I'm not going to play because I'm not the cycling deck, I'm the spells deck, and there was just nothing else there, just black and white cards. Last 3 picks to be anything good, we get Jace's Defeat. That's fine. That's where I love to see a defeat, a pick where you don't even have to think about it and just jam it into the deck. Last two picks, do we get anything playable? We get a Survivor's Encampment, which is fine if I need to splash. It's a desert for the unquenchable thirst. And our final pick is a Scrounger of Souls. Maybe a little bit of disrespect for that card, going last pick. I'm not super high on it. I think it's just like a Faithbearer Paladin, where it is a lot better in Sealed than it is in Draft. But last pick seems a little bit late for that. Pack 2, pick 1. What kind of blue-red shenanigans can we get? Well, how about Scorpion God? That's just fumble my cards here because holy moly, Scorpion God. Yeah, there's literally nothing in this pack that I'm not taking over the bomb broken mythic that sure, we'll figure out how to splash somehow. We just picked up that super late Survivor's Encampment, right? Boy, that Traveler's Amulet would have been nice. Next pick is here. What do we got? We got another Firebrand Archer and an Aven Reed Stalker. There's a Lethal Sting there, but I think I am blue-red. Just splash the god. There's an Eternal of Harsh Truths and a Champion of Wits. Tons of cards here for me. I actually quickly checked through to see if I did have that Survivor's Encampment or not, so that I had to know where I needed to pick one up. This would have been very early, but we just take that Champion of Wits because, hey, a 2-1 that draws me cards? Totally fine with that. Someday a 4-4 that draws me 4 cards? Super fine with that. Next pick, we've got Ruin Rat, Hoopu, Granitic Titan. That's not very good. Oh, there is stone nothing in this pack for me. I could speculate on a Hoopu, maybe go green-blue, but I'm pretty sure I'm blue-red at this point. I could just take this red Cycling Desert. I reread Seer of the Last Truths, but it's not what I want to be doing. So really, the Desert's the only pick here. That pack was super, super dead to me. It was around this point that I remembered I was drafting beside Doug, who 90% of the time goes red, and so I had a feeling red was going to start to dry up, unfortunately. Next pack, what do we get? Any red? Well, we got a Proven Combatant, which isn't very good. We got an Aven Reed Stalker, which is totally fine, and again, just no real decent red here at all. So it's really between Aven Reed Stalker or Proven Combatant. I still don't think Proven Combatant is okay, so I'm just going to take the Aven Reed Stalker, which I think is totally fine. I can load up on blue in this pack and then try to kind of cut Doug in red in pack 3. That's the plan anyways. Next pack, we've got ourselves any blue, any red, Desert Ceradon, Imaginary Threats. Oh, hey, there's an Eternal of Harsh Truths. That is totally playable. I do not think that Imaginary Threats is okay. The jury's still out on that for sure. I have played against it a couple of times now, and it's been miserable for my opponent and great for me. So I'm just going to take the Eternal of the Harsh Truths. Next up, we've got the red Uncommon Desert. I really like the Uncommon Deserts, as I have straight from my set review. Again, I'm still not super sold on the Cycling Deserts. I think I still am going to take them very late, and I'm never going to play them unless I, really desperately need a desert for some reason. I'm just not a fan of tap lands, but I'm a fan of free lands like the red one, so in it goes. I think the tap deserts really aren't good in this format, unfortunately, because the format requires you to curve out and attack, and playing a tap land is the exact opposite of curving out, and cycling a land on turn 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever, and playing a 3-drop is not curving out, and so I don't think they're a good match for the format, unfortunately. Next pack is here. We've got the blue Cycling Desert, a foil of the black Uncommons, and I am going to be splashing black, we know that, and there's nothing else in the pack for me. The blue cards are garbage, the red cards have clearly been taken by presumably Doug already, so I just take the fancy foil black land. I'm going to play it for the Scorpion God. I don't necessarily plan on activating it, but it's just, again, a free untapped land that will get me the black the turn or two that I need it. Next pack, what do we got? We've got a Sinuous Striker. That's totally fine. Another Aven Guide as well as another Unquenchable Thirst. It's really between the Sinuous Striker and the Aven Guide. I already have the Aven Guide, and I think Aven Guide's probably the correct pick, but I haven't played with Sinuous Striker yet, so I do take the Sinuous Striker. Aven Guide is just crazy. Getting all the creatures into the air that should not be in the air is a real solid play. Next pack, we've got another Sinuous Striker, so I could have taken that Aven Guide and still gotten to play with the Sinuous Striker, but this time it's the only card in the pack for us, so we take the second one in a row. Next pack, we've got a rather late Aven Reed Stalker, I think, as well as probably a really late Accursed Horde. I'm not sure what was going on there. Aven Reed Stalker, though, is easy, the only real pick here for us. Feeling like blue might even be a little bit open here. We've taken, I think, no non-blue or desert cards this pack. This pack, we've got very little left. We've got a Hoopu. I'm not going to play the Seer or the Countervailing Wind, so I take the Hoopu just in case maybe I splash green for it, or simply to keep it out of the hands of somebody else, because the Hoopu's real good. It does not deserve to be picked that late. Still with blue cards in the pack. It's not good. It's proven combatant, but it's the only pick for me, unfortunately, because the other two cards, totally not what we were going to be doing. Last two picks, we've got Imaginary Threat still in the pack. I'll take it, I guess, because it's the only card for me, but I'm not gonna play it. I do not like it. I do not think it's good. And I didn't even look at that last pick that I just put on top there. Can't remember what it was, but it was not important. Going into pack 3, I know I just picked a ton of blue, so I'm going to be keeping my eyes out for red to cut Doug a little bit, or whoever is taking it all. But of course I'll take whatever I want, but there's an Electrify, or whatever I need rather, and Electrify is certainly what we're going to head into here, because there's just stone nothing else in this pack. The two blue cards are garbage, the other red card is garbage. Nothing in that pack for really anybody, outside of maybe the True Heart Duelist, but I pretty happily take the Electrify. Next pack, we get ourselves an Illusory Wrappings. That's going to go on top. And Essence Scatter is going to go on top of that. Hazard's Favor or Fury is not going to go on top of that. There's a Splendid Agony. That's decent, but I think we are just going to splash the single black-red card. So really, this pack is just Essence Scatter or Illusory Wrappings, and I'm fine with an Essence Scatter. It does work. What else do we got here? We got ourselves an Emberhorn Minotaur. Well, that's a red card and definitely playable in my deck. A Decimator Beetle. We're pretty far away from that, unfortunately. There's a Thresher Lizard, which, you know, is possible. And I was still thinking that I was pretty heavily blue-red spells here. I actually wasn't as heavy into the spells as I thought. So I was briefly considering the Prowess Looter, but it didn't really get in there. Shimmer Scale Drake as well, not really what I wanted. I wanted to keep my curve kind of topping out at 4, and so we do take the Emberhorn Minotaur. Next pack, we've got Cartouche, which I push to the front, and then kind of forget that we're not in Amonkhet anymore, and the Cartouche style deck maybe isn't exactly existing quite as much, still 100% there. And also just not really what I was doing. I wasn't as aggressive. I had a lot of 3s, and I was picking up more 4s with that Emberhorn Minotaur. Next pack, we've got an Ancient Crab, which I guess goes to the front, but a Sure Shot's just a far better Ancient Crab. So Sure Shot's really the only thing in this pack. I'm not going to take the Hyena pack. I'm not going to take those artifacts. There's just not much here. So, yeah, Minotaur Sure Shot, in you go. Getting down near the end of this draft, we've got a Painted Bluffs. Ooh, a Trial of Knowledge. That's going to go right on top. There's an Aven Initiate as well as a Hieroglyphic Illuminations. I really like Trial. Trial is basically Sift, which was a great card back in Stronghold, back in the days when you were allowed to block and you were allowed to play magic that maybe went longer than 6 turns. So I take the Trial to see if I can relive those glory days. This pack, there's not too much there. There's a Naga Oracle, there's another Cartouche, there's a Heckma Sentinels, there's just not much in this pack. And looking at it again, I'm trying to remember what I even picked here, and I couldn't tell you. I know I thought a lot about that Naga Oracle, but ultimately I just took the second Cartouche. Or no, I didn't take that first Cartouche, did I? I take a Cartouche. Next pack, I see that gold card there, and I'm like, oh, is it Enigma Drake? No, it's Shadowstorm Vizier, which is not what we're playing. This pack doesn't have much. There's a Gideon's Intervention there, which I consider taking for quote-unquote value, the dollar or whatever it's worth. River Serpent's the only card here for me. I don't think I'll play it, but I'll take it. Last 5 picks, the only pick for us is Slitherblade, which I am 100% not going to play, but I take it for signaling purposes, question mark. This pack again, the Illusory Wrappings is still there, which is perfectly what I want. It's right where I like picking it. It's not a great card, it's not a great piece of removal, but it's a totally fine 5th last pick or whatever that was. Last pack of 4 cards we got left? 4 cards we got left. There's a Blazing Volley, which, as I mentioned, there's a lot of X1s in this format. Stupid Aketra's Avenger, etc. Blazing Volley actually seems like a really good sideboard card, even more than it was, so in it goes. Last 3 picks, Floodwaters is totally fine. I don't know if I'll play it. I don't want to go quite that high in the curve, but I'm pretty happy getting it 3rd last pick. Second last pick is here. Do we get anything good? We get Kefnet's Monument, I guess, is technically better than Luxury Rivershine, and we get a last pick, Aven Initiate, out of nowhere. Kind of crazy seeing that card that late, but I guess I was just in the right seat. In fact, every single card that I took was blue or red with the exception of the Scorpion God, Scrounger of Souls, and my lands, and the one Kefnet's Monument, which technically is a blue card. Yeah, I found my seat, and this is what the deck ended up looking like. Let's take a look at the drops themselves. Up first in the 2-drop slot, we've got the Firebrand Archer, because I was playing enough instants and sorceries and non-creature spells that I wanted to get some incidental damage, and Spellweaver Elite, because 2-1 prowess with Afflict is pretty gross. I talked about Afflict, I'll talk about Afflict a lot, I think. Just feels so bad to be on the wrong side of it. We've got the Unquenchable Thirst. I was playing 3 deserts, so I felt pretty confident playing it. Consigned to Dust, I was really just playing it for Consign. Technically, we could play Dust, but if I was ever going to do it, it was just going to be a complete bonus, which is really how I treat the second half of that card anyways. And the Essence Scatter, which is just always fine. The 3-drop slot was completely stacked with cards, with the Eternal of Harsh Truths, which was solid, the Aerial Guide, which definitely got my frontline Devastator in the air a few times, the pair of Sinuous Strikers, which were okay. They drew removal a little bit. I don't think they're that great, though. Minotaur Sure Shot. Champion of Wits was very good. I never actually got to bring it back ever. The games were over too quick, unfortunately. But it was even good on the front half. I think I would first pick a Champion of Wits in many packs. Bloodwater Entity did some very good work putting counter spells back on top. Cards that I discarded due to Champion of Wits or Trial of Knowledge back on top. Really good card there. And in the spells deck, in the spells section, we had cards that we just know are good, like Struggle and Open Fire, and Illusory Wrappings is fine, and Survive is just a card that you don't cast. It's flavor text on the bottom of that card. The 4-drop slot, we've got the pair of Emberhorn Minotaurs, which were fine. Attacking in for 5 on turn 5 is always nice. The Aven Initiate's a totally fine last pick card. Should have gone way earlier than that. Aven Reed Stalker, a very nice surprise blocker. Frontline Devastator, again, just really good. 3/3 for 4 with that Afflict too. Man, Afflict, so good. And then the Electrify and the Trial of Knowledge, which was totally fine. Some of my games were slow enough that I was able to cast it and feel pretty confident about it. But it really helps you dig. Man, 3 cards deep is a good number of cards to dig into. Slot, the top of our curve, we had good old Mr. Scorpion God. Utterly broken. As for lands, I was playing 2 swamps, a mixture of islands and mountains, along with these 3 deserts. Survivor's Encampment to help me get black mana, or whatever color I need, and be a desert. Ramunap Ruins to be a desert, plus it's, as I've been saying with these colorless deserts, basically just free cards. You can just play them. Unlike the cycling ones, which I think you need a good reason to be playing a desert like that. Ramunap Ruins I was going to activate if need be, and I had the ability to do it. Ifnir Deadlands, I probably just was not going to activate. I wasn't going to have 2 other black mana in addition to Ifnir Deadlands, so I was just playing it as a swamp, essentially, but a swamp that had some additional value. So, how did it all go? Well, it went pretty darn well. Match 1, I was up against Step, who lived my dream and took Fraying Sanity. Pack 1, pick 3, I believe he did it. As I've been saying, I will first pick that card if I see it and go deep on that plan, because I think if you pick it in the first couple of picks, you can definitely build into it. Step didn't quite see everything that he needed to build into it, and then made a shift at the end of Pack 2 and start of Pack 3 into a cycling deck that unfortunately didn't quite come together and was maybe a little bit too slow. I actually didn't even see the Scorpion... I saw the Scorpion God in Game 1. It was in my hand the entire time, and I just didn't play it because I just kept attacking in. Firebrand Archer did a lot of work. Every single spell I have having a little lava spike attached to it was real nice. And I actually ended the game 2 with a weird line of play where I actually threw Illusory Wrappings onto a Baleful Ommet and pinged for 1, and then bounced the Baleful Ommet and pinged for 1. It was his only blocker, and I had exactly lethal to come in after that. Kind of a weird play. He was kind of confused why I would enchant it and then bounce it, but he pretty quickly saw why I did that, and I won in 2. Match 2, I was up against Quinn, who was playing kind of it wasn't exactly mid-range, it was definitely a fair bit aggro black-green deck. Had Decimator Beetle, had the Resilient Kenra, Prowling Serpapard, and Foil, in fact. Some pretty decent cards for sure. But unfortunately, the Scorpion God came down both games and just utterly warped the game. These 3 gods, man, if you see them, you take them. I don't care if you're in completely different colors. You take and you shift into those colors. They are utterly broken. Thankfully, they are mythic and not rare, like Glorybringer and Friends. Finally, match 3, I was up against Alex, the only other 2-1 in the pod, and he was playing good old Red-White. Very aggressive version of Red-White, using a Catcher's Avengers and untapping them using the Sparring Mummies and etc. Just disgusting. disgusting. Game 1, I was able to just kind of be a little tiny bit faster than him and take him down. Game 2, he got stuck on 2 mana the entire game and crushed me with it, because red-white 2-drops is still a disgustingly effective deck. I was at 12 on turn 3. This format can absolutely 100% be fast. Do not durdle around forever, and by forever I mean really more than 1 or 2 turns, or else you will just get run over. Game 3, I was able to stabilize with good old Mr. Scorpion God on the table, and I took Alex down for my first 3-0 paper Hour of Devastation draft. Draft went really well. I definitely kind of found my place in blue. I was 100% fighting with Doug for red. He was red-black, as fully expected. But I got enough of the red stuff to, you know, build the deck. And then, of course, that pack 2 pick 1 Scorpion God just utterly warps the format. Yeah, do not pass those. They are busted. But yeah, it was a very fun draft. I'm liking this format fine enough. I still don't like that blocking is bad. I don't like that blocking feels even worse due to the inclusion of Afflict. But, you know, we don't have too long with this set, only 9 weeks, and it's better than Amonkhet, I will say, for sure, at least from my experience so far. Let me know how your draft is going this draft weekend, as they are calling it now, in the comments down below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at TheManaLeek. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at Facebook.com/TheManaLeek, Twitch.tv/TheManaLeek, and Patreon.com/TheManaLeek. If you like the content, click that thumbs up button, click subscribe if you want to see more, and if you do have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow for Spiky Saturday.